What is up, everyone? This is Ronnie, your host of the Ronnie Asani Show. My number one goal in this show is to bring you some of the most amazing and accomplished individuals in the business world to share with you some real, raw, and authentic business insights. We sit down and talk in a casual setting, nothing too serious, yet we unpack some of the most incredible ideas, concepts, and best practices. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh, and don't forget to share the love. Like, share, and subscribe. Gracias, amigos. What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ronnie Asani Show. Today's episode, I'm joined by Oliver Masson, founder of Blistil. Blistil is an Australian startup based in Sydney with one goal in mind: get people to sleep better everywhere thanks to its ergonomic sound blocking pillow, SleepMuffs. In this episode, I talked to Oliver about Blistil's journey so far, how the idea came about, and how he's been able to use crowdfunding to get the business started. I'm here with Mr. Oliver, the founder of Blistil. And if you were a French speaker, you'll say Blistil. Good to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Ronnie.
Thank you so much for making it. So we're gonna go over a few things today. But obviously, for everyone watching, the short story is you recently founded Blistil,
Yes.
which is focused on helping people have better quality sleep.
Yes.
And you have a cool slogan on LinkedIn, which is quality sleep everywhere. Is that right?
Soundless
sleep everywhere.
Soundless sleep everywhere, yeah.
Cool.
So, like, I really believe, the easiest thing for me for me to sleep is to be in a quiet place, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people suffer from actually being awoken by noise.
Mm.
And so, for me, the most important thing was to solve that issue. And to do that, I just created a product which is called SleepMuffs, which helps block out the sound at a very good level without any electronics inside.
Yeah, and oftentimes I think people don't realize how important it is to not have noise around you, because sometimes noise can wake you up, I think, to a point where you're not really woken up.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to get one of those back in the day, the fighting, that when they have fights and they have like this thing, I don't know the name of it, but they go like bam.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
like a gong. Yeah. I see what you mean. But you're totally right. I think it's leftovers from when we were prehistoric men, running around, and we would. There's all these sleep cycles, and So you're 100% right. It's when there's noise around you, and especially aggressive noise like high pitched sounds and stuff like that, you're generally on edge, and so you're sleeping, but you're not in a restorative state of sleep.
So just for everyone watching, obviously you're still in the very early stages of your entrepreneurship journey, and you guys were raising some funds to help with the product development, and you maxed out on that, and you got over 200% of your initial ask.
Yes.
Which is an incredible milestone.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to hear that.
Thank you.
That just tells you that you're onto something.
Yes.
You know, your people believe in what your mission and what you're working towards and the product itself. And so I think before we go into the product and, the company itself and what you're trying to do in the next 3-4 years, maybe we can start with your entrepreneurship journey so far. What made you get into that? Because I'm a firm believer that everyone, especially people that make a dent in the world from an entrepreneurship standpoint, they always start with a compelling reason. I think you touched on that. It was for you, it was like, okay, I need better sleep. And you couldn't find something on the market that was solving that problem. No. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's there's a few products out there that work pretty well, but they're often involve electronics inside. So there's earbuds that you wear, and sometimes it's uncomfortable to sleep with. Some of them are headphones, but they're really, really expensive. And so I wanted to come up with a solution that had no electronics, but that was affordable at the same time. And, I think for me, it's very uncomfortable to be, and I wouldn't feel safe sleeping with headphones or Bluetooth or stuff like that on me for such a long time and over again every single night. Whereas I'd be more than comfortable and easy to sleep with if it was without any electronics. So that was a huge part of it as well.
Did you spend a lot of time on engineering of the product? Did you bring in consultants? Did you, how was from an idea to, okay, here's a prototype, which I know you're still in the process because you're raising funds to actually produce a prototype. But before you even produce a prototype, there's that process from an idea to, okay, how can it be a product, right? How will it look? How will it function? You're looking for some validation as well, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the process. Was that purely done by yourself, or did you bring other people to help with that?
So to answer short is the short answer is I did most of it myself.
Yep.
And then because when you're starting out, you don't have a lot of money, so consultants and contractors and stuff like that are super expensive. Generally, they'll be 120, 150 bucks an hour. So my background is in engineering, and I did a lot of 3D modeling and stuff like that. And so I would do the initial designs myself, and then like prototype them with my hands. Yep. And then try them out basically. Yep. And so I went through like 5 or 6 iterations of that first, and then once I got to the final thing, and every step of the way, obviously, I would try it out, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. But then I'd always go and seek feedback to friends and family, go and showing them my stuff and saying, oh, what do you think about this? And it's really, it's I think it's a very important part, feedback. Yeah. And it's hard when you're only starting out, because you not necessarily want to hear the negative points of what people are saying and stuff like that. And so, but it's a super important part. So yeah, I went and did it, and then got feedback, and then worked on that feedback, and then did it again, and then went to go and get feedback, and back and forth like that. And then once I got to something that I was happy with, and then I had tested out, and I'm like, okay, it's got good sound blocking, it's comfortable, you can sleep on your side, it relaxes your neck at the same time. You can use it while you're on the go and stuff like that. You can easily slip it on and off. And then I want to go and see an industrial designer, which is a friend of mine. And I asked him a discount, and if he wanted to be part of it, but he decided not to. Yep. And then he designed the first one, and then we prototyped that one in a more professional way. We built a mold and all that kind of stuff, and then we got first prototype, second prototype with him, and then that second prototype is what you see in the videos now.
Kind of curious if there are a couple of questions that popped up from what you just said, but kind of curious to know if you entertained or thought about IP, intellectual property, from patent to trademark. And, it's not straightforward at all, especially when you're designing and creating products like that. I don't even know if you can get certain things like patent or whatever. And the second question to that is, are you worried about competition or people trying to replicate the product? And how are you going about that?
So it was my initial concern. Like I was, I approached a few big companies with the idea and stuff like that, and always with the fear of, them just stealing my idea, because it happens all the time. And and they all received it well, and people are nice enough in Australia that they don't actually copy your things.
Yep.
But once I got the I got the final prototype and I got it tested and stuff like that, I went to go and get it registered design, which is similar to a patent, but instead of protecting the functions of the product, you protect the shape.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the shape is super important because it allows multiple different functions at the same time.
Right.
And so, actually, to get a registered design, you have to it has to be a completely new design as well. So it's a bit complicated because you can't advertise your product before getting the registered design. So you have to be sure that your design is correct. Otherwise, you can't get it registered. But at the same time, you can't test the market to see if people actually want to buy it.
Right.
So you have to be certain about what you're doing. And so we did a bit of a pre-testing phase where, you'd go and see friends and families and try it out, and it went well.
Yep.
So I registered the design.
Yep.
And then I went to market and did like ran some ads.
Yep.
And 110,000 people saw it, and it got a really good
feedback.
Yeah, really, people were really happy with it, and they're like, "Oh, I definitely need this in my life." And obviously, there was a few people that didn't really, enjoy the idea, but there's.
Can you bring the mic close to you?
There's always a few trolls on the internet.
Of course.
But now the design is registered in Australia, in the EU and the UK, and last week we got the design registered in China as well, which was a massive win because they have a lot of patents and designs and stuff like that in China already. So it's a really good thing. So I have a lawyer with whom I was just going
to ask you, are you working with a lawyer or are you doing that yourself?
No, so it's a complex process. So you need somebody an artist that knows how to draw.
Yep.
Like product design and stuff like that. And so he drew it, and then the lawyer takes care of all the paperwork. But he also works with another lawyer that's in the country where you want to submit your design. So it's you can't do it yourself.
Yep.
Like it's too complicated. Especially for registered design. For trademarks, it's different because it's just words, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah. So, obviously, starting out something, you need to be resourceful. You need to choose the things that you're gonna cut cost on and the things that you cannot afford, and that's a very smart move. You probably figured that out quite early. That when it comes to registering things like that, protecting the IP of the business or the product, I need to go to the right people. Can't do that myself. So you being the founder, are you the sole owner, or do you have partners in the business?
I am the sole owner of the business, yeah.
Were you reaching out to a few people looking for partners, or did you decide from early on that I'm going to do this on my own?
So before starting Blistil, I actually started a few other businesses, which were with a friend of mine, and it was always kind of complicated. Where, so the friend with who I wanted to start my business was in sales, and I was the engineer, and so like it's a bit complicated with the product because when you design a product, there's so much work before you actually start selling it.
Yep.
That and there's so much time and energy spent in things that you don't know if it's going to work or not. That I kind of felt that it was unfair that we were going 50-50 on something that I was creating and I was putting so much work into, where he wasn't necessarily doing it. And so in the other business that I started with him, we went 50-50 because it was mostly we were selling French baked goods on like markets, and then we wanted to expand and go into other bakeries and stuff like that. And so we were selling frozen stuff to bakeries, and which is really good, really good baked goods. But there's a lot of it's how bakeries operate now. Anyways, mostly it's frozen. But yeah, we did that, and then we started trying to sell honey and all these kind of stuff, which were in his line of work. But so then that made me decide that, you know, I really wanted to try to do something by myself.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I'm just going to go 100% into this thing, and I'm just not going to ask for partners right now. I'll ask for partners when I need a partner. And, you know, and it's about this time now that I need a partner. And so I went around and I asked a few friends, and none of them were really interested. This was before the campaign, before anybody knew that it actually had a bit of wind behind the sails. And so my brother, before the campaign, tried out the product, absolutely loved it, and he has like neck pain and stuff like that. And so one of the attributes of the product is to release your neck. Yep. And so while we were filming the video, he's like, I'm just gonna go and take a quick nap, and you know there was lots of noise around him, and he put him on and he fell asleep on the couch, and he woke up and his neck was like relieved, and he's like, Ollie, please, I'll be part of you. I'll be part of Blistil if you want.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting when you're starting something out that it's not proven, and you get a lot of people that, you know, will nicely will just tell you, hey, you know, it's not for me, I'm not interested, blah, blah. But as you start to get traction, it kind of reverses and people start to run after you, which is advantageous because then the conversation is different and you have a bit more leverage, whether that's, you know, brother that's kind of slightly different because it's family, although business and family I personally believe should not be crossing over. Like when you talk business, you just talk in business, but that's something, you know, people vary in their approach with. But the general idea is once you start to get traction, which you have by raising over like 200% of your initial, which, do you mind sharing? Like it's not.
Yeah, it's $78,000. Yeah.
So you're just asking for prototype sort of investment?
Yeah, prototype investment. Yeah. Well, it's not actually prototype. It's with that money I will be able to manufacture. Yep. Mass manufacture. Yep. So it's paying for molds.
Going to market.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Have you started thinking about your go-to-market from a sales and marketing perspective? Have you started like doing a very deep dive into how you're going to scale from a selling perspective and how all the other dots are going to connect from your supply chain, all that stuff? Or is that work in progress?
It's still a work in progress because supply chain is like extremely complicated. Logistics and stuff like that is crazy. So I don't have like a detailed plan of how everything's going to work. I have an overarching plan. I know what I want to do and where I want to do it and how I want to do it approximately, and I'll work towards that goal. And I always like to like plan stuff like that because I mean, you probably know as well. Yep. Things change all the time, and it's stupid just to plan just to the T how things are supposed to, because then if it doesn't go as according to plan, you don't know what to do. Yep. Yeah, I prefer to stay a bit, loose.
Yeah, I mean, part of any successful marketing strategy is being able to have a clear idea on where you want to go, but have that level of flexibility of adapting and being nimble and changing certain components of it to still hit the goal, but being able to react and adapt to certain changes, whether it's your competitors or changes in the market or even changes in the core of the business, to be able to hit that destination. Now, what's the ultimate goal 3 to 4 years from now? Do you want to become a business that tackles any problem that is within like the realm of having a better quality sleep? Do you see yourself evolving into other territories? Are you just going to focus on that particular product, which is essentially an earmuff that allows you through its design with no electronics to have better quality sleep. So you're going to focus on that same product line? Are you seeing yourself expanding into other areas that are still within the sleep realm, or maybe extend beyond that too?
I think I'd be staying within the sleep realm, and but I think it's what I really like to do is focus on the product first and try to develop it as best as I can, and then go into like different markets and stuff like that, and then once I've gotten everything working well, I'll start expanding the range of the products I offer as well. But they'll always be focused on being comfortable while you sleep, and being different and innovative, and things that you can't just commonly find everywhere. I want to create a range of products that are really unique.
So if you want to have better sleep, go to Blistil. That's the aim.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's better sleep everywhere.
Cool.
So the idea of
you just want people to sleep, man.
I mean, it's so important, like if you sleep well, you work better, you earn more money, you're happier, you're not as cranky, you eat better, you don't get fat. Like it's just
quality of your life just improves.
Just because you had good quality sleep, and it's so important. There's it's funny how there's another thing. It's nothing to do with my business, but so many people like want to buy like cheap mattresses and cheap pillows, but they go and spend like hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in their car, right? And they're spending less time in the car than they are in their bed, but nobody sees it.
Yeah.
But the mattress and the pillow and your bed and everything, your sheets, all those improve your quality of life.
The mattress is not going to impress people.
No, exactly. It's just going
to,
might improve your.
But a car or a Gucci bag will.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I feel like you definitely found a niche. You definitely found an area that requires a lot of attention and gives a lot of value to people. I'd be interested to see how your marketing kind of, gets you to achieve large scale sales. And I was wondering, because when it comes to things like what you're doing right now, and you're telling people, essentially your message is you're going to get quality sleep. Cool. Not trying to play the devil's advocate, but you will have some people that will say, is this scientific? Is this proven? Okay, I don't want to just try it myself. I want to see evidence. So I'm curious if you will consider at some point, because believe it or not, there are sleep scientists out there.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I discovered this 2 years ago. I'm like, oh wow, there's a whole community of people that actually work on this every day and try to solve the problems. But shout
out to he's a very high profile big star out there. Watched him on the Joe Rogan almost a year or 2 years ago, I think. Dr. Matthew Walker. I think he's a doctor. Anyway. He must have done PhD. So he wrote a book called Why We Sleep.
Yeah.
Tremendous book. Amazing. And he spent over a decade, maybe two, analyzing people in their sleep. And, he goes through a lot of things from a scientific standpoint, explains, what contributes to better quality sleep. He's done a lot of studies, so he looks at correlations, cause and effect, and all that stuff. Obviously, you don't have to go to someone on that level. Maybe you can start with people around you who have some level of expertise, or someone who is eligible enough to say, okay, Oliver, all right, let's do some studies. Because I think when it comes to these kind of things, it would be super, super helpful from a marketing standpoint to tell people, look, here are the results. And should the results not show enough evidence, that can help you going back to refining the product even more. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes.
Yep.
I
Short
think
answer, yeah.
I think that's a great point, and you know, for sure, like backing it with science and stuff like that is super important. You know, my background's in engineering, my father's an engineer, you know, my granddad's an engineer, and it's just so for us, it's like science is super important, and I totally agree with you that at some point we'll definitely have to do testing on a large scale with doctors and stuff like that to understand how your sleep is affected and how my product or my brand, my company helps solve these issues. I did, while I was creating my product, I did refer to scientific studies to better understand, you know, to create the business case basically of why I was trying to help people sleep without noise or, you know, without neck pain or all this kind of stuff. And it is super important to include science, and I did at some extent where I did all the sound testing myself. So, you know, set up all the acoustic, like I have an acoustic rig at home that tests the different decibels with respect to the frequency and stuff like that. So that was tested. Now it wasn't tested scientifically through like different stages of sleep and stuff like that. But I've tested it myself. My wife has tested it. My brother's tested it. We got a few friends as well that have tested it at home, and they all slept with it. So
it would be interesting if, like, when you embark on that testing journey, to put certain audio sensors inside the earmuffs and then put them on someone's head and let them sleep.
Yeah.
And then measure the noise that's coming from the outside.
Inside.
From the outside.
Yeah.
To the sensors inside.
Yeah.
And make some comparisons with perhaps other products that are out there.
Yeah. So sorry to.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So the testing, the acoustic rig that we have at home, that I have at home, is it's like two fake ears that's on a stand, and inside you have these really sensitive microphones, and basically what I did is that I tested 3 different products. I tested earplugs, I tested noise cancelling headphones, and I tested SleepMuffs.
Yep.
All these on the same rig, and then I'd play white noise at 80 or 90 decibels, and then I'd see the different graphs of how that white noise was cancelled out by what I had put on the rig. And so in the lower frequencies, you had the active noise cancelling that worked really well. So that was from 0 to 400, I think 400, 500 hertz. And then after that, SleepMuffs is better. And SleepMuffs is always better than the earplugs that I tested. And the earplugs that I tested were from 3M, and they were made for, like, they were rated really high and really, you know, they were supposed to be fantastic. And the hopefully 3M's not listening. And
it's an opinion. You're entitled for your opinion.
And then the noise cancelling headphones were Bose, so the Quiet Comfort ones, and so that, you know, they're the products that work really, really well. And so not only does SleepMuffs actually work better than these, but on top of that, it brings you comfort while you're sleeping. It holds your neck, and it avoids you from, you know, tilting your head side to side when you're on your back, and it lifts your head from, you know, the tilted position when you're on your side to a more straight position to align your.
Yep. So that experiment that you just mentioned now, how much of that are you sharing or utilizing or plan to utilize in the sales conversation, whether that's through some videos on the website where you're going to be selling, or in maybe some visuals? How much of these studies do you think you will require to use as part of the marketing and sales?
I use it as so basically I did the so there's a there's a standard, an Australian standard that tests hearing. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember the name exactly. They always have very complicated names. But anyways, it's a standard that tests the sound blocking capability of different types of either earmuffs or earplugs.
Yep.
And I used that to so we could have a benchmark, and we were comparing things like for like.
Yep.
And so SleepMuffs, according to that standard, reduces the sound by 33 decibels.
Cool.
ANC technology from Bose is 35 decibels, and then the earplugs are 23 decibels.
Right. So you're 33.
33, yeah.
And the noise cancellation technology from Bose is 35.
Yeah.
So you're only 2 dB under Bose, but the major difference is you don't have any electronics there.
Yeah. And I'm like $200 cheaper as well.
Compelling. Very compelling.
Yeah.
But the Bose product is that a
it's not made for sleeping.
But it's a sound device, right? It's earphone, like headphones.
Headphones, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Electronic headphones with active noise cancelling.
So it's not designed for you to sleep.
It's designed to block out noise while you're while you're listening to music. Yeah.
So you were looking at the noise cancellation part.
Yes.
Yes.
And but like if you want to listen to music while you're wearing your sleep muffs, you can, because like the cavity inside is big enough to fit your ear and earbuds. So you can definitely wear earbuds at the same time as you're sleeping. And if you like, sleeping with white noise and stuff like that, you could put in some earbuds and then sleep on your side. And because of the cushion and the way that it's been designed, the earbud won't press into your ear. So you can buy off the shelf stuff and use it with sleep muffs. So that's another advantage.
Yeah. Kind of curious how you envision the fundraising journey over the next, because if you want to scale to become a huge business, you're obviously looking at how much money you're going to raise and at what point, and how much you're going to start with. And I'm not an expert in that topic by any shape or form, but I do know that you have to be very, very well calculated in at what point, how much you raise, and where that money, where every single cent is going to go in, and be 3-4 steps planned. Yeah. So that it works out the way it should. So have you started to, like, do you have anything in place? Have you started thinking about how that will play out?
I haven't thought about it specifically in details, but I'm getting some people in various countries, retailers, interested in buying. So in obviously at wholesale price, and so these would mean larger quantities, but that also means that I need stock. So that got me thinking. I'm like, so I need investment to be able to manufacture all of these first up and have like a lot of stock, so I could be able to sell all my products to these retailers that are interested. So that means going out and trying to find investors and people like that. And so I have been thinking about it. I do not have a plan for the moment. Yep. Because
I think you should.
I think I should, yeah.
Yeah, that should be one of the things that you focus on in the next, say, couple of months.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think you're very, very right. And I have a few people that told me that they're interested. I don't know by how much, but a few high rollers that I know.
High net worth individuals.
Yeah.
Yep. I think you should also talk with people who have either gone, into the path of creating companies and have experienced that themselves. They can give you some life examples, but I think you should also talk to professionals like investment bankers or people who help with fundraising to tell you, okay, there's no free lunch. But I also believe that there are a lot of people that would be willing Great. My other camera just collapsed, but that's okay. So I think there's a lot of people that would be willing to help and give pro bonos and put you in the right direction. At the end of the day, you're going to have to do a lot of homework, a lot of work. Getting pointers from people around, okay, how do I structure this, is going to be very, very important. Before you even entertain or take any action or get money from high net worth individuals who are interested in your product, because it might not be the best way to do it. Right?
Okay, yeah. To be honest, all this is very, very new to me. So I have, I'm completely open to any advice, and I'll definitely be, making a plan very, very soon to manage all this and try to get some investment. But it's super weird, because you start off with an idea, right, and then you go through and you do all that stuff, and you really get that tunnel vision, because I had to work as well as a part-time. I worked as a builder to earn some cash. And then, I'd be working like 13 hours a day and working up like at 5:45 in the morning, working till like 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 o'clock at night. And you get this tunnel vision of like, I have to develop this product. And then the end goal is the crowdfunding campaign. And I'm like, I got to the point of the crowdfunding campaign. And I'm like, well, if this doesn't work, then what now, And so like these past few weeks, I've actually been working less than I've been working in the past, because it's so relieving to actually see that, people are interested in the product. This doesn't mean working less. It still means working 9 hours a day.
You're not killing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Which is it's nice. And so now that I see
it's nice to not kill yourself.
Yeah. And so now that I see that, people are excited with this. People are like, oh wow, I've been waiting for this for so long. Thank you. I actually got this guy while I was doing the ads back in January, when the product didn't even exist yet. He's like, he commented on my Facebook page, and he's like, oh my God, I highly recommend this. I didn't even know the guy. I highly recommend this product. It's amazing. It's going to solve all these issues. And I'm like, oh wow, it's great to see so much enthusiasm. And I had all these people showed me their enthusiasm, but now that they show this to me with money, which is super important, because it's one thing to actually say it's amazing. It's another thing to actually put your money behind it. And now that I see that, I'm much more confident to go and see people. To get those people to invest. And so that's, it's one of those things as well, because like if you don't go and see your investors with not only a plan but proof that people actually want to buy your product, especially when it's something that's so unique like SleepMuffs, which is, you got to say it looks weird. They don't actually, believe you. And they don't actually think that it's going to work. But now that I have all this proof, it'll be much easier to go and get some funds.
And it's also about how you position your business. You're not you're not an earmuff company.
No.
You're a sleep quality company.
Yeah.
And that changes the conversation completely in the eyes of especially investors.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not just trying here to, make an earmuff that looks cool. Our company is focused on changing and improving the quality of sleep everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So that changes the conversation quite a lot. I want to ask you about self-doubt. Any entrepreneur goes through that. I don't care who you are. You're always going to have self-doubt. It's the biggest demon out there as an entrepreneur. You're dealing with a ton of questions in your head. Will this work? Will people like it? Will the business be profitable? So many things that you think about that you lose sleep on, ironically, right?
Yeah.
So what are your personal ways of dealing with self-doubt?
I deep breathing. helps
That's
me.
when you get to the anxiety stage.
Oh no, but I get to there very quickly. So
Yeah.
I'm naturally anxious,
Okay.
and so that's probably why I work so much, because working helps me
Deal.
deal with the anxiety. So how do I deal with self-doubt?
The worry,
So,
the questions that pop in your head.
Working
Mm.
really helps me
Mm.
eliminate that self-doubt, and then asking questions
Mm.
all the time to other people that I don't know.
Yeah.
And just going around and testing things with people that I meet in bars, stuff like that. And you just start talking. You can lie about different things, and you can try different things out, different ways of spinning it and stuff like that. And you see how people react, and then that generally helps you. That's mainly in the marketing perspective, but if it's around your profitability, work 100%. Like you just work, and try to find obviously estimations, and the closest estimation that you can get, it's better. But self-doubt is a huge barrier to a lot of people, and I think being confident in what you've done so far is super important. Being confident in your own work, and it's and just trusting yourself, because at the end of the day, like, you can ask so many people different types of things, and it'll only change incrementally what you think. But at the end of the day, if you don't believe in what you're doing, then you'll never succeed.
Do you think it has to be tied to extreme passion about what you do?
I don't believe that you need to have an extreme passion to what you do. I think like entrepreneurship for me is a personality trait more than anything else. And so like it's not meant for everybody, it's a job like any other job. It's just, you generally have people that just like to work. When you're an entrepreneur, I mean, you like to work. Otherwise you don't do it. And you're passionate about what you do, of course, but it's not necessarily tied to confidence. I don't think so.
I personally think passion helps you mitigate a lot of the challenges that come with being an entrepreneur. Is it is it the number one thing you need? Debatable. I'm not too sure, but I think passion is, talking about self-doubt, passion is one of the things that can help you deal with self-doubt. Because if you're super obsessed with what you do, that tends to take over the negative thoughts. I think self-doubt is important to have, and you touched on something super important, which is you get to work. Right? There's only one way, there's one effective way to deal with self-doubt, which is, okay, all these questions are popping in my head or maybe thrown at me from other people for a reason, okay? The only way to actually silence these questions is by getting to work. And if you're passionate, here's the link. If you're passionate, you're going to get to work. Even if you're tired, even if you're overwhelmed, even if that energy that you get from being passionate about something is super empowering, and it gives you a level of energy more than anything else, more than any type of feeling. Right? Excitement, positivity, all these other, in the positive range sort of emotions, in my opinion. And I'd love to maybe go back and have a look at some scientific analysis on that. But from my personal experience, being passionate about something, man, you'll wake up 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's, I mean, I totally understand why you say that. But like for me, like passion can be dangerous as well. So I'm a hard worker. That's what I am. And whatever I'll be doing, regardless of what it is, I'll work hard and I'll get it done, and I'll get it done right. But like passion is a whole other thing. It's kind of like love, where it, for me, in my experience, it overtakes yourself and who
Your
you are.
ability to rationalize, is that what you're saying?
And it's a very, very strong emotion, because like passion is loving basically what you do, right?
Yeah.
And I love what I do.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with that, but
Yeah.
I think because like I actually hear that a lot, like oh, you know, entrepreneurs, it's your passion project. You have to be passionate and stuff like that. And I totally agree. You have to be passionate, but you have to be rational about all these kind of things, because like your emotions are so powerful, and especially for people only starting out, you know, you get so easily overwhelmed by all these things that pop up, and people ask you questions to which you don't have the answer, and you ask yourself questions that you don't have the answer, and you have all these emotions that are working in you, and you're like, you get anxious, you get passionate, you get love, you get all these kind of things, and you get overwhelmed after a while. And like for me, I try to always put my emotions aside, because it helps me to work harder and to be concentrated and to have a real objective view of what I'm doing. And so with that, I'll be able to, you know, really look at a problem and say, okay, what's wrong with it? Oh, that's crap. I don't like that. Oh, I did this thing.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yep.
That's good. But
that's emotional intelligence right there. So not allowing, you know, understanding emotions, and also not allowing the way you feel about certain things to interfere with the ultimate goal, or how you go about making decisions and all that. Yeah. Which I'm very glad to hear.
Thank you.
Now, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you wanted to discuss? What's the message to the investors that are going to be looking at you 6 months from now, 3 months from now?
The message is we have big plans, and we want to go into different markets around the world. And we've gotten interest in Japan, in the UK, in the US, with people, you know, always asking us if they could buy our products wholesale and stuff like that. So that's really interesting. And I think that's, you know, an avenue that we're definitely looking to go through. But like, I think one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, you know, the journey of how I got to doing this. And I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people, you know, with my personality, or even yours, because you're an entrepreneur as well, is that process is very hard, because you're letting go of a past that has, I mean, if I understood correctly, you have a past in FMCG and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. I worked for Heineken, not in Australia, outside, overseas, for a couple of years. Yeah. My roles, I had a couple, where in between sales and marketing, I was looking at how to optimize certain parts of the distribution and sales, but also looking at analytics and how we can improve certain things from a marketing perspective. So I do have.
So you have an experience with good jobs, good pay, stable work.
Yep.
And a lot of people, I was the same. You know, I graduated from UNSW as an engineer. Yep. You know, I got a job as a consultant. Everything was going well. I was getting offers from other positions in other companies to get better pay, more stable job, and all this kind of stuff. But like every single time, I'd be getting these offers. I'm like, do I really want to do this? And the hardest thing to do is to say no, no to that good money, no to that good position, because everybody's like always telling you. Because I mean, there's not a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, and not a lot of people want to do. I think there's a few people that want to do entrepreneurship, but the few people can do it.
A lot of people want the benefits of being an entrepreneur, but they don't want to walk the journey.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
for sure. And so it's hard to let go of that stability, and everybody, because like when you get a good job, people are like, oh wow, you work for, you work for Heineken, or oh wow, you work for Deloitte or KPMG, or people are impressed. Like when you say, oh, I started a business, people are like, oh, okay. What do you do? Oh, it's only starting. I don't know. Like, oh, cool. And so you don't get that sort of same recognition from people and stuff like that. And I think that's and so, sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place.
Yeah.
And so letting go is really hard. And so what really helped me, first of all, is asking the right questions to myself. But then I actually went to go and see a career advisor once I was unhappy in the role in which I was. I went to go and see a career advisor, which was super helpful. It cost me like $250. It's the best money I've ever spent in my life.
Best investment ever.
Yeah. And
you should be paying that person royalty.
Yeah, I think so. And so I went to go and see her, and she was really open. We did this personality test. And she, the test came out, and she's like, you're an inspirer. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, well, first of all, you hate working for other people. You're good with your words, and you're generally made to work in positions where you don't have to report to other people, like doctors, builders, physios, all these kind of things. Self-employed, yeah. And so that really, that nudged me in the right direction. And then once it was there, I'm like, okay, so I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing as career choice.
Yep.
Now, is the project worth it? And there's a lot of people that, you're always told as an entrepreneur to do the business case before you actually start it. But sometimes the passion and the desire to actually start the business, you overlook that part completely. Yeah. And for me, that was a huge game changer in my self-confidence. So I worked on a business case for like 3 months before actually quitting my job. And then once I had a solid business case that I showed, around and stuff like that to different people, and they were like, oh wow, that's a good opportunity. And I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do. And so that's when I quit my job, and I went full on to this into this project. And so that business case was my self-confidence for the majority of the time, up until I got all the ads running and all the enthusiasm from the different kinds of people that that saw the ads and related to the products and stuff like that.
I mean, look, you touched on a few things there. Being an entrepreneur, in my opinion, is one of the hardest things to do. Why? Because you're jumping into an ocean and wanting to swim to the other side when you can just be on a cool, nice boat, cruisy, excuse me. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of challenges, and you're basically leaving a lot of security behind. Having that paycheck at the end of the month, having the touch also on the status, but the biggest thing is security, financial security. Who's going to pay the bills? No one. Okay, and you're going to be perhaps not making money for the next 12 to 24 months, maybe more, depending on the business and how things turn out. But at the end of the day, you're taking a massive risk. So I can understand why a lot of people don't embark on that journey, and rightfully so. There's nothing wrong with wanting financial stability and security. We're wired that way.
Yeah,
we're wired to have stability, because with that, you can pass on your genes to the following generations, right?
But that's exactly why I say that entrepreneurship is a personality trait, and it's not because you see, especially nowadays in this era where entrepreneurship is so easily accessible, that people get FOMO. They're like, oh, if I don't do it, I'm going to be a failure or whatever. But it's not the case. Like if it's not meant for everybody, and like for some people, it's for me, I work a lot, but I'm so happy not to be working for somebody else that it makes up for all that stuff.
I'm happy to work 3-4 more hours a day instead of working for someone else.
Yeah,
look. You're looking at a person who is exactly in the same shoes.
Yeah.
I quit my job, or I left the company that I was working for about 3 years ago, 3.5, maybe 4. And I just said to myself, if I can do anything to not because my experience there was not, was bad or anything like that. It has nothing to do with the organization that I was working for, but it just had to do with my personality trait. I hate working for someone. I do. I like to be my own boss. I like to make my own call, my own shots, and be a free thinker, explore. I'm very spontaneous in a lot of ways. I like to dive into different things, and I just don't like to be told what to do. And no matter what organization you're in, there will be a lot of times where that's not the case. And so for me, that was super clear. I knew that about myself when I was, a kid. Me and my dad, we always joke about that too.
Yeah.
Because there was, when I was a kid, I used to tell my dad that one day I'll compete with him. I'll create a company and do what he does. And we always laugh about that. Always, right? So I always...
What does your dad do?
Engineering consultancy, working with manufacturing facilities, helping them improve production and things like that. Okay. Super technical. Not my thing at all, right? But the example I just gave you was just around how I was wired since I was a kid. And you're right, a lot of it has to do with your personality. And so for me, I was more than willing to deal with uncertainty, and a lot of the downsides. And I think the other very tough thing, if I'm being completely honest and authentic here, is having a job, you have a more balanced lifestyle. Being an entrepreneur, trying to hustle, make something, a huge thing out of nothing, is a road that means you'll make a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah.
Right. And I look at my friends, I look at my community, I look at people I know who have a lot more balanced lifestyle, who didn't have to make certain sacrifices that I did. And it makes you sometimes feel like, man, like I want to go out, man, I want to, spend more time with people I care about and all that stuff. And it's something you got to be, although at times can slap you in the face. If at the core, when you made the decision to be an entrepreneur, you made it for the right reasons, you'll be able to deal with all these things. Yeah. I that's at least my personal experience.
Yeah, 100%.
So on that note, I really want to thank you for coming in and doing this. You're on a very interesting trajectory, and I can definitely see you, a year from now in a completely different place. Well, you are in a very good position right now, but what I mean is you'll be catapulting in the next few months, if not maybe a year or two. And I wish you the best, and I think you're onto something here. So
thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. everything, and enjoyed talking with you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much, man.